or so. The weather is lovely, so it's going to be good. And by my side, I have our Captain Hunt, who is going to sail us safely through the canals. And a bit of a safety warning to that. So there's going to be quite a lot of bridges on this tour. Some of them are lower than others. So please just mind them. I will warn you when we get to some of the low ones. Right. Nogen der snakker dansk? Jeg ved det. Ja. Vil I gerne have turen på dansk? Nej. Okay. Så tager vi det så igen. Det er så fint. Ja. Så vi starter vores tur. Så bliver det på dansk. We got it back today. All right, so we are starting the tour here in Nyhavn, translated to the new harbor. And despite its name, Nyhavn is not that new. The harbor here is actually one of the oldest parts of Copenhagen, and it was dug out by Swedish prisoners of war back in the 1670s. And just mind the bridge coming up. Yeah, and back then in the 1600s and 1700s, this area looked very different from what it does today. It was muddy and smelly, and then it was called the dirty north side. So definitely not as pretty as it is today. And it was also north at the time. So Copenhagen and the harbor here in general has went through quite a big transformation throughout the years. And back when the harbor here was established, it was notorious for its drunken sailors and women who really liked drunk sailors, apparently. And even though there's still been drunk a lot of alcohol here by the harbor, not quite in the same way as it used to be. And throughout the 1970s, especially, the harbor here went through a big renovation. And today, Nyhavn is one of the most beautiful and well-visited areas of Copenhagen. Construction site. This is the Paper Island, translated to the Paper Island, that's here. And apparently there's being built apartments, but just a few years back, this was a very popular and very big street food market. And we've always known that something else was going to happen to it, and that's now. Yeah, there's these apartments, very big, expensive apartments here, and then the street food has moved out to other areas of Copenhagen. I'll come back to that in just a moment. And straight ahead in front of us, coming up on our right-hand side, is the Copenhagen Opera, the Opera of Copenhagen. And the Opera House here was a gift to Copenhagen from the A.P. Møller Foundation, and it opened back in 2005. And the building here is quite large. It has 14 floors, but those are underground. And then it has about 1,000 rooms. And 2 of those rooms are stages. There is a small stage and a large stage. And the large one is also called the pumpkin. It's round and it's orange, and therefore it is a pumpkin. Right now, the roof of the opera is quite big as well. The roof here stretches 32 meters out into open air, and it can put about 2 to 2.5 football fields on top of it. So it's pretty large. And in summer, Red Bull, they come out and they dive from the opera's roof down into the Copenhagen harbor. They haven't been here these past 2 summers, obvious reasons, but they are coming back this summer. And I'm especially looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun. And now as we're passing the front of the opera, you might be able to spot the large stage just behind the glass, especially the orange color. There's also a three big, beautiful chandeliers hanging just between the glass facade and the large stage. A historic memory and for the aesthetics. Also out on your right-hand side, a bit in the background, there's a large gray sloping building with a chimney on its side. This is Amabago, and Copenhagen is a new waste incineration plant. It opened back in 2017, and it converts residue waste into electricity and heat. And it's steam that's coming out of the chimney. Yes, and on its roof, Amabago has an artificial ski slope. There's also some walking trails and other outdoor activities. And then it has the world's tallest climbing wall. It's on the side of the building. You might be able to spot it. It's to the left of the chimney. That's the world's tallest climbing wall. It's 85 meters tall. And just before it came up on land here on Newfoundland, it participated in the Iraq War. And then you might wonder what on earth a submarine does in a desert war. But the sail actually played a quite important role. It observed the other vessels coming in and leaving the area at the time. But yeah, now it is up on land, and it's a part of the museum that's out here in Newfoundland. So you can come inside of it and visit it. And another naval ship here, the Copenhagen harbor, is just in front of us. So on your right-hand side is a big gray naval ship with a number F332 on it. This is the biggest telescope. It's a telescope division by the Danish Navy back in the 1960s. And it was supplied and drawing of the Navy for many years. And then a day in 1982, it accidentally fired a missile in the holiday area in the monsoon season. Very unfortunate, and luckily no one was hurt by the incident, but it was later called the Peak missile. Look at this beautiful big ship coming out on the right-hand side. And the locator is hopefully come out here. There's a problem. So yeah, it's too packed today. I've got a flag out here. And also the flag that posted out here is the official Danish flag. And all other flags have to follow this particular one. Getting ready to take off over. It's a fine boat, which is a domestic flight. Domestic flight, which goes to a small pavilion with green roof. Working for the royal family, they sit and wait before boarding the royal yacht during summertime. And the pavilion to the left, who was a common hut, is of course Her Majesty. Christianshavn's Canal, and this area is named after and founded by King Christian IV back in the beginning of the 1600s. And the king, he established this part of the city as an independent market town and harbor. And back then, the area looked very different, as well as new houses. It was muddy, smelly, and then it was far away from the central part of Copenhagen, and transportation at the time was not as efficient as it is today, so people didn't exactly jump to get to move out here, quite the opposite actually. And then the king, he started offering 3 plots of land and 12 years free rent. And then slowly people started moving out here. It was a good offer. And as you can see, today Christians Harbor is a very beautiful and also a well-integrated part of Copenhagen. There's also quite a lot of boats here, houseboats as well. Cozy area. And the cool thing about Christians Harbor is that many of the fires that ravaged central Copenhagen in the 1600s and 1700s, they never reached all the way out here. So there are still houses that remains from the founding of the city about 400 years ago. And if you look straight ahead, up to your left, you might be able to spot a tower. This is the tower of Our Savior's Church. The church was built in 1696, and the tower was finished 52 years later. And it has a spiral staircase with 400 steps, which you can walk on all the way up to the top. It's a beautiful view. You get out over Copenhagen from up there. You might also be able to spot that there are quite a lot of people who have taken the trip. And at the very top of the tower, there is a 3-meter tall golden statue of Christ. The tower of Our Savior's Church was also used during the Second World War to hide weapons and explosives. The Danish resistance was meant to use the tower. And the big brick building that's coming up right in front of us on your right-hand side is, it's wrong to call it a retirement home. It's not really, but it is apartments that are offered to retired sailors who've been a part of the Danish Navy for more than 40 years. They get to live here and enjoy their well-deserved retirement. And the other brick building coming up on your right-hand side is the former Danish resistance movement headquarters. Helgadanske is the brick called. So they were also the one who used the tower of Our Savior's Church. So this tower was not just a good hiding spot, it was also close to their headquarters. To the right, they are some of the last remains of the first Christian folk castle that was built here in 1745. And the rest of the castle broke down only 49 years later. And then it was rebuilt, and then it broke down, and then it was rebuilt. So we've had a few Christian folk houses here. And the building that's up here at left, that is the National Museum. And the building that houses the museum today was originally also part of the city. It was completely frozen. It happens rarely, but it has happened. And this time the Swedes, they decided to take the opportunity and storm Copenhagen. Now we have a bridge. And the large yellow building right in front of us, up on your right-hand side, is Thorvaldsen's Museum. Thorvaldsen was a very famous Danish sculptor who lived most of his life in Italy. And he's the only non-Catholic who's ever been allowed to make something in Peter's Cathedral in Rome. But as you might already know, he never became a ballet dancer. He was rejected 5 times
the academy at the time, they told him that he was too clumsy and too ugly to become a ballet dancer. A little bit sad, but then he started writing fairy tales instead, and that turned out well for him. And in just a moment, we'll pass under the last bridge. This is also the lowest one, so please sit down.